What's up, guys, and welcome to Charge Sports, the official podcast of the Oklahoma City Chargers, where we cover Oklahoma sports, college football, and more. I'm your host, Bobby Robinson, for everyone on Twitter or socials who know me by CRG Bear, and today's episode is going to be a banger. We have a lot of things to discuss. A lot of things happened this week, so I'm going to just discuss a little bit of the topics before we run into our first commercial, but we're going to be discussing about Oklahoma City Thunder. They're currently on a 3-2 stretch, a 2-loss streak at the moment, falling to Detroit as well as Minnesota. That's something we're going to discuss as well. A little bit more about how well Mark, the head coach, is going to be handling the situation and the health of the team. We're going to be discussing obviously the college football area, where we discuss how Brent Venables is changing this OU football program, especially heading into the SEC next season. We already know this program is going to be entirely different in comparison to last year, especially losing almost to 12 to 13. I will say 12 to 13 transfers, if I'm mistaken. I might have the number a little bit higher than I need to go and fact check a bit, but I believe he had a lot of exits from OU, including Dylan Gabriel. So that's something I want to discuss and really just go over in details with. And then we have Colorado Buffaloes, which is by far an exciting topic to discuss because the new look of Colorado is going to potentially be scary, especially on that coaching staff. We know there's some new guys coming in. There's going to be assistant coach prime. We've heard the likes of Warren Zapp, maybe. We heard the likes of Ed. We never know on who's going to be that defensive coordinator, but just expect something great, especially with all the stuff that's happening over in Colorado. We're also going to discuss the 16 new signings on who all came over to Colorado on signing day. I think I've mentioned one, which is Jordan Seaton, which was in the last video. But all in all, today's episode is going to be a shining one. We are going to end everything off discussing about Super Bowl predictions. You guys probably heard mine over on TikTok, but we are going to have a small discussion about the Super Bowl as well. So before we enter the show, guys, I want to give a shout out to our proud partners over at ZipChair Gaming. ZipChair for, helping the organization, helping myself, staying comfy within, their models, supporting us, everything that we do. They comment underneath our posts, support the players. They are a huge part of our family, and we wouldn't be here without them. So I want to give a huge shout out to ZipChair Gaming. We're going to run a quick commercial for ZipChair. Use code CHARGE if you guys decide to go over to the website and get one of the comfy chairs. Now, I recommend you going over there. There's recliners. There's not just gaming chairs, guys. There's recliners over there. There's stools that I've seen. So get you a ZipChair chair, use our code, and hook yourself up with something nice. There's Valentine's Day gift. You want to get a little, sports recliner for the ladies. You know what I mean? Go hook yourself up. Guys, like if ladies, if you got your guys, you know what I mean? There's Alabama, Alabama chair, Florida chair. You can go to NFL, get your ML. There's chairs over there. So for the guys now, lady, hook you guy up with a chair with over there a zip chair, because Valentine's Day is coming. Hook you made up. Who wouldn't like a nice recliner with their favorite team logo stamped on it? So all in all, we'll be back with you guys. I know I'm a little childish a bit, but we'll be back with you guys soon. Alright, guys, so our first topic today to discuss is obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder and their 3-2 stretch. Now, if you ask me personally on just the performances that I've seen, I feel like this team is getting tired. And that's how I'm going to enter this take. I feel like this team is getting worn down and tired. And you can say, oh, they gave away the Pistons game. I don't think so much of it, because you still have the likes of Shea dropping almost 31 points on the Pistons. He did everything he could. You had J-Dub, have 20 points during that game, and they got beat by 16 points against the Pistons. And then we lose to the Minnesota by 6 points. You know what I mean? It's just that I feel this team is we're starting to see the youth of this team, but we're also starting to see the engine starting to slow down. and I'm not too sure how well Mark is able to manage this. Nothing against the coach. I feel like he's a great coach. He's been establishing this young talent, especially on his progression on what he was doing over at the Oklahoma City Blues. I find him being the great suit for this young talent and these young individuals, but I want to know his coaching is really going to showcase on how well he can keep his roster healthy, especially with him being the third seed in the West. They have guaranteed playoff spot as long as they retain their record the way they are, as long as they keep playing the way they're doing. And when you look at going over just on the statistics side of things, where Oklahoma City Thunder sit at in comparison to stats across the board when it comes to other things, they are third overall in scoring points per game. They are 27th in rebounding. They're not the best team in rebounding. They're 10th in assists with 27 assists per game. Their shooting percentage is at a 50.2, which is second overall in the league. They have 390 steals total on their defense, and their defensive pressure is huge. They have 303 blocks. Like, I can go on for days on how well this team is doing, but it all comes down to the health of those starters. You're talking about J-Dub, you're talking about Chet, you're talking about SGA, you're talking about Josh Giddey. You know what I mean? Like, it's heavily evolved around them. Now you have some of the bench players really showcasing their efforts coming off the bench and helping, assisting them. But you take an injured, who is one of the leading scorer of this team. Let's say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets hurt the next game, because we've seen him get hurt a few times. Let's say, for instance, he gets hurt and he's out for the remaining of the season, or he's out for a month and a half. Are you going to still get this same level of consistency? Because you have to think about how much SGA means to this team. He helps on the defensive end. He's their leading scorer. He leads in steals for the team. So it's just like, I'm just talking off of him. I'm not even talking about J-Dub, who's been showcasing his efforts, getting the points that he needs to help this team successful. Chet. Even Josh Giddey being a facilitator. So it's just like, take any of these guys out of the equation, and then we don't have the same Oklahoma City Thunder roster. So why I'm so focused on saying this is we need to manage the time on these players. We need to manage the health on the players. We need to make sure the minutes is there, obviously, that we don't sell away games. 'Cause I don't agree of pulling players and we end up tossing, a white flag and giving up a game because we ain't playing our starters because we're trying to rest them. I get there's rest needed, but at the same time, like I said, my personal take on this is that I feel like we need to rest our starters a lot more. Solid rotations. Still give them the appropriate minutes that is necessarily needed, but I feel like rotating them correctly is going to see us be a lot more successful. This is a well-oiled machine until something breaks. And I don't want that to happen. Being a Thunder fan, I don't want that to happen. And I just want to see everyone retain healthy. I want to see everyone play ball. But I do think that finding a solid rotation, following a solid way of, managing all time without it costing us games. And also, I'm going to have the players take accountability because, like J-Dub said off in his interview, they just allowed the reins on the team for Detroit to just follow away. Now, I can't say the same thing about Minnesota, because Minnesota's just a tough game in general. You have to respect the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, and over there in Anthony Edwards and how they're balling out. They're one of the strongest defensive teams in the league, so that's a tough game regardless of how you look at it on paper. But the they did choke. Detroit Pistons. I was about to say Lions. Pistons. Let me get it correct. I'm not no hate on Detroit now, guys. I want to say this. I was rooting for the Lions because I'm a Hawks fan. And all the Hawks fans were with the Lions that day because we don't want to see the Niners go to the Super Bowl. So don't say I wasn't with you. You know what I mean? But that's a whole different topic for later in the show. But now, if you guys want to hear my full-on coverage of the Oklahoma City Thunder, I am going to be live all next month on February for majority of the games outside of like Valentine's Day and stuff on that weekend. Discussing Oklahoma City Thunder, because I go live every game. My live reactions on all Thunder takes. That's where I mostly cover 90% of my Thunder content as well as here. But we are going to go on to our next topic, which is the college football. But before we do so, I'm going to take a small break. I appreciate everyone staying tuned to the podcast, and thank you for being here. All right, guys, welcome back to the show, and we're going to be discussing this OU football program and how it looks. I feel like Brent Venables is in the hot chair right now. His first season being 6-7. His second season being 10-3. Him losing a lot of his recruits of not playing players. Him not playing Dylan Gabriel is the reason why Dylan Gabriel went over to the Oregon Ducks and hit the transfer portal. Even though Dylan Gabriel said he still has a solid relationship with Coach BV, for you to ultimately have the reasons why we were successful last season, in the sense your quarterback, one of your stars, to just ultimately leave and hit the transfer portal because you don't play him in the Reese's game is kind of like questionable. But we are going to discuss OU football and how this program is changing, and I'm going to read over an article, guys, and just go off of that. We're going to have our comments after it. Brent Venables is one to be a glass half empty. It isn't one to be glass half empty. The OU coach wasn't to get too down on things last year when the Sooners stumbled to a 6-7 mark, their first losing record since 1998. He certainly isn't going to be down this year after a number of players, quarterback Dylan Gabriel among them, jumped into the transfer portal following a 10-2 regular season. As Venables looks to add in the portal and on the recruiting trail as the early process period opens December 20th, he's savoring the process. For next month, it's kind of like Christmas every day, Venables said Thursday in San Antonio in a press conference for the Alamo Bowl. It really is. I say that there's a lot of work that goes into it, as Coach Jed Fitch can attest to as well. Among the players entering the portal so far have been Gabriel, running backs Twy Walker, Marcus Major, and Daylon Smoothers, safety Key Lawrence, and offensive lineman Savion Beard, among others. Other figures to follow in the coming days, while other players will also start marking their decisions to enter the NFL draft, known as linebacker Danny Strutzman reportedly will do. By Venables isn't phased. I love relationships, Venables says. I love finding great people that also align in the values they respect, the appreciation of all great things that Oklahoma has to offer. It's not easy, but no one is going to feel sorry for his program either. It's all hard, Venables said. I say this all the time, but it's all good. It does present many challenges, but whatever challenges it presents Oklahoma, it presents the same thing for everybody else in college football, so I love a challenge. I'm a competitive person by nature, and we're all, for the most part, some people would probably beg to differ, but we play by the same rules in some ways. Right now, there are no rules, and I say the tongue in check. The Sooners made this first transfer portal audition Wednesday when Michigan State offensive lineman Spencer Brown committed to the Sooners. Last season, OU added several players in the portal that made a significant impact. Wide receiver Andrew Anthony from Michigan, offensive tackle Walter Roos from Stanford, linebacker Cheetah Dason McDowell from Indiana, safety Reggie Pearson from Texas Tech, defensive lineman Tracy Ford from Oklahoma State, and Dejon Terry from Tennessee among them. It's a little less work than we had a year ago at this time, Venables said, when comparing December of last year to what he's going through now. Not much, though, Venables said. He wasn't surprised by the moves. We've had a handful of players that are in the portal, Venables said. We look at them as seniors, as graduates, as guys that weren't going to be a part of our program after this season. The only thing you don't know is whether or not they're going to try to go to the NFL, or they're going to try to decide to use the additional year of eligibility somewhere else. You have to make adjustments if you will. When it comes to your depth, that's a real thing, but other than that, I love putting puzzles and the pieces of the puzzle together. I've always really enjoyed that, trying to find great people. That's exciting to me. The Alamo Bowl against Fitch's Arizona squad figures to give the Sooners a jump on preparation for next season when OU makes the move to the SEC. That includes significant playing time for freshman quarterback Jackson Arnold and probably several other young guys who didn't see much action this season. Last season, the bowl participation, as much as the game, helped players like running back Gavin Swarrick and offensive lineman Jacob Sixton, who injured early in the Cheez-It Bowl, propelled themselves significantly growth that benefited the Sooners this season. So, guys, that is kind of the rundown on that. And my explanation, because I'm gonna pull back over here and just discuss a little bit more about it. My explanation is that I do feel like, even though he says he's not in the pressure of, he doesn't feel the pressure on him, and theoretically, like, I might have, I'm not going to say I jumped the gun. I do feel like he's still in the hot seat. Whether you look at it or not, he was paid $43.5 million up to 2028. And on top of that, yes, your first season here, you've gotten the worst season by far on paper since 1998, which was a 6-7 record. You had no other choice to come back with a 10-3 record this season. You had another losing season. Then we questioned the $43 million we just paid off. And I'm not saying anything wrong about Ben Venables. Stellar coach when it comes to it, especially his turnaround. Like, I'm seeing the progression of him as well as his players and finding the talent that he's finding. But I feel like we need, especially where OU was and OU is now, we need to see them in the college football playoffs, and we need to see them compete, because in 2019 we had that. Yes, we lost to LSU and Joe Burrow, but we had that. We need to get back to that same level of intensity, and that's what a lot of OU fans and Oklahoma fans here feels like. We've already been to the big show multiple times, and we haven't fulfilled at the big stage. That's what we're building towards, especially entering the SEC. And then you have our rivals in Texas already showcasing that they're a better team statistically against us. But them outperforming a lot of the SEC teams this year. Prime good example, Texas beating Alabama was one. Them having relatively competing for college football playoffs. Just how well Texas went this year. Not a huge Longhorns fan and did not want to see them win. So I don't want you guys to think, no. I'm just putting in perspective. The Texas football program is starting to grow, and obviously with us being one of the same teams entering the SEC, it scares me a bit to know that our rivals are growing, and I don't feel like we have progressed, in my personal take. Now, maybe this year we might get something new in the transfer portal that's different, but I do feel like we need something. We can't see another losing record. We can't see another exit from the college football playoffs, or, we can't see that. We need to see us compete and play, keep our standings, and make it to those games, because the fans are deserving of that at this point. We're one of the programs to where we've been in and out of the college football playoffs for years. So we can't settle for anything less for those expectations. And I know that doesn't put Brent Venables in a good position, especially him coming into his third season trying to attempt this. But at the same time, it is what it is. This is what is expected, especially with your program going into the SEC, because Georgia and the likes of Georgia and Tennessee is not going to lay down for you. Alabama's not going to lay down for you. You see what I'm saying? Florida, I'm sorry if I'm a little puzzled. I have a long day, so. But yeah, I do think this is something that you have to look into like a lot more in detail moving forward. But I'm going to bypass the OU football program just a bit. I know, guys, I'm really just scooting through with these segments. We're going to take a quick commercial. All right, guys, I am back, and we're going to be discussing about them Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime himself, Deion Sanders. Now, the big thing to discuss about this Colorado Buffaloes is the new look that this team is going to be seeing, not only just on the coaching staff, but on the player aspect. And we're going to deep dive into those 16 that is coming in from that came in on signing day. Coach Prime has been the king of the transfer portal since he's been in college football. He's been able to get the number one recruits to come over. And the biggest thing about that is that Year 2 for Colorado, it was about rebuilding that offensive line. Shedeur got hit too many times in the backfield this year alone, and even rumors, and it's not even rumors, it's paperwork, he ended up getting his back injured because of all the hits that he took this year. But all in all, I want to go over the 16 signings as stated before, because we're going to go into Colorado. We're going to go into Colorado. So, all right, the signing roster right now, we had Cam McKell, we had D tackle Aquin Barnes, we had Justin Mayers, we had Chayman Meteller, a tight end, we had Terrell Timmons Jr., we had Keaton Wade, we had Eric Bentley Jr., we had Brandon Davis Swan, we had Drelon Miller, we had Kegill Benson, Walter Taylor III, Michael Welch, Kristen Hodge, Tyler Johnson, Yakir Walker, Will Shepard, Quincy Wiggins, Cordell Russell, Samuel Okunlona, Destin Wade, Chidozie Nikanoko, I don't know how to pronounce your name, brother. I apologize if I completely botched your name. Chidozie. And then we had Jordan Seaton as O tackle. We had Philip Houston. And we had DJ McKinley. Those was all the signings that came in over to Coach Prime's program within signing that. Obviously, I discussed Jordan Seaton probably being the biggest one coming out of high school and the number one offensive tackle. God damn, offensive tackle in the land. I don't know why I'm stuttering so badly. Excuse me. The overall number one offensive tackle in the nation coming in from high school in Jordan Seaton. And I discussed him, like I stated before, in the last episode, and just how much impact he can make with him being on that roster, helping Shedeur and blocking. But you think about these other 16 signings coming in various different positions, helping assist this program, in which this program drastically needed. Understand, like, this program didn't see a lot of 5-star. Hell, like, they won one game 2 seasons ago, won 4 games a season ago. So you have to think the progression of this program, seeing this amount of talent coming into this program, it's nothing but wins, in my personal opinion. Yes, you might not immediately see it on the score chart, which you're gradually seeing, but it's something that you're going to overall, see over time. You see, like, especially, like, you're not, like, and a lot of people expected it to be in year one. You've seen a lot of changes in year one, but you can't completely change a program in 1 year, especially with, NIL deals being a thing. You can only do so much. And I feel like a lot of people, just because it's Dion, they expected him to completely just, go on a winning season. Don't get me wrong, the hype around it should have happened, but at the same time, you have to be realistic with the goals. And I feel like he won year one, had more wins than the previous season. He had a lot of new signings come in. He figured out more what he can do with the offense. Like, he had a lot of pros and a lot of cons going into his first year at Colorado. But I do think, as I said, just knighting off those 16 signings and the signings they got last year, and adding, some of the new coaching. Like I said before, they're coming in with new coaching staffs as well, and new offensive coordinator, because obviously Sean Lewis is no longer there. They're going to be offensive play caller and Pat Schrumer, which I do like his play calling. Like, I didn't like the hyper tempo pace that Sean Lewis ran with the offense. Don't get me wrong, it could overall work if the offensive line was able to give Shedeur the protection he needed during periods of time. But I felt like with us not having no tight ends block majority of the year, not having the appropriate protection, it just was not working. And from my understanding, he was pseudo fired in the middle of the season. Sean Lewis was, and Pat Schrumer really took ahead of that. But I am going to discuss over an article that I found discussing, like, some of the things that this new coaching staff for Colorado Buffaloes is going to be bringing. So, The Colorado Buffaloes are 3 weeks away from starting to finalize the 2024 football roster with signing day. Outside of the players, a few changes have happened since the end of last year, with Deion Sanders making some adjustments with his coaching staff. He conducted his first team meeting of the new year on Sunday, and we learned what roles have been filled in Border via well-off media. Devin Ripples, who recently came off from Florida A&M, will take on duties as the Assistant Director of Player Personnel and High School Relations. He was the Director of Recruiting for the Rattlers and brings experience to Sanders' staff, another key piece to keeping the Florida pipeline strong in Boulder. Pat Schumer officially assumes duties as the Buffalo offensive coordinator. The former NFL coach took over play calling duties from Sean Lewis last season and was moved over from being the offensive analyst. He brings experience to the table, but we'll see if there are any changes from the end of the season for Shedeur Sanders. Colorado's offense has a couple more weapons, especially on the offensive line, which should allow for the Buffs' grown QB to cycle through his reads better with more time in the pocket. Jason Phillip takes over CU's wide receiving coach, with Brent Bartolome moving over to coach the tight ends. He held a similar position under Coach Prime at Jackson State. Phillips has over 20 years of coaching experience and went to Jackson State after serving 2 seasons as a passing game coordinator at Utah State. He'll be reunited with Travis Hunter and the others at Colorado. The biggest question thus far for Sanders during the offseason has been who will be hired as the CU's defensive coordinator. He addressed what was going on in the process behind the scenes, but did drop major cue to who's looking to the next man to lead the Buffs defense will likely come from a current NFL team. I could easily choose a coordinator for you, but instead of being hasty, I would rather be right, Sanders told the team, because you deserve it. You got to understand the NFL season is just getting over and there are still some teams in the playoffs, so not only are we trying to get you a pro, but we're trying to get you a professional, either from college or from the NFL, but we're trying to do it right. Because defense, you deserve that, and we're going to get you right get it right for you. A few names have been circulating regarding to CU's defensive coordinator, with Mike Zimmer, Ed Reed, Rex Ryan are 3 possibilities for Sanders to consider. They each have NFL experience, different levels, with Reed being a Hall of Famer. Coach Prime also said the search will probably be concluded within the next week. So, you hear it first. Coach Prime is looking for guys to come and, he's recruiting solid coaching, NFL experienced coaches to come over and work with his young athletes, which, respectfully, as a college athlete, getting experience from someone who's done it on the Hall of Fame level at that, like Ed Reed, or even like Rex Ryan's defense over at the Jets, if you guys remember those early days and him coaching the likes of, what is it? I have his name on the tip of my tongue. He's another Darrelle Revis. There it is. Darrelle Revis. He coached Darrelle Revis, who was a lockdown corner over in the Jets. I remember the days of Rex Ryan and Darrelle Revis giving people havoc. So even if he brings Rex Ryan over, that's huge. I heard, like I said, Warren Sapp is coming in. There's a lot of people in that article that have not been mentioned, but on Well Off Media, if you watch, it's been brought up multiple different times, or I don't know how official those statements are, but you're seeing the progression on what's going to happen. This program with Colorado Buffaloes, not only on the financial standpoint of able to bring in this talent, but it's an attraction site for the players. So it's not only you're bringing in coaching, but you're bringing in the players as well. And then on top of that, it's not like 2 seasons ago where you didn't have the finances to hire anything. Because of Coach Prime and what he did just in year 1 and how much revenue got drawn just for year 1, it's able to open the avenues for so many things. And that's what a lot of people just fail to realize. How much revenue, how much advertisement, how much hype he built for year 1 is the reason why they have the financial funding to be able to do what they're doing this season and potentially do in coming seasons. So you're going to see an entirely different program with the Colorado Buffaloes, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what Coach Prime is going to be doing, and I'm excited to see how this new coaching staff and how it's finalized. Also, I want to see if there's any new talent that's going to get brought into next season. I'm excited to see some of the spring games. So there's a lot of things that's going to be popping off that you guys just have to stay tuned. Like, one good way to doing that is going over to Well Off Media. Bucky, Deion Sanders Jr., he does Well Off Media. He covers a lot of the Colorado content, and he does a lot of things like that helps out. So, and gives you guys the information. And it's great content. I enjoy watching Well Off Media. You get to see really the eyes inside of a college program if you have never been, in the college vicinity or college programs at all. So it's kind of cool to be able to experience, and it just allows you to connect with the team a whole lot more. I wish a lot of teams actually had an insider like that to allow you to connect and get, as fans, be a part of the growth of your program. You know what I mean? Especially seeing how NIL deals and everything, and how college football has become a lot most watched TV, and I'm gonna be honest, exciting. So that's all I got for the Colorado Buffaloes, guys. I will be discussing a little bit more going into next week, but to roundhouse kick on our entire show, I know this is a little bit smaller show in comparison to last week, but I didn't have too much to talk about. But the Super Bowl. Now, you guys seen my Super Bowl predictions over on TikTok, and I completely shattered my predictions. Nowhere near close. 0-2. I've seen my Baltimore Ravens lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not a Ravens fan, but I am a Lamar Jackson fan. Loved him since Louisville, so I was hoping to see A do something spectacular. And obviously that was going to potentially get me put on the couch because my girlfriend's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Yeah, I have my own battles to deal with. So I'm so glad that, in heart, I'm glad that they didn't win because I didn't want to sleep on the couch, but I'm also kind of sad to see Lamar go home. Anyway, what game that did hurt me to see was the Detroit Lions completely choking against the 49ers. And you know why? I am a Seahawks fan, right and fully. I have my shirt, I got a speaker, I got gloves. I'm a Hawks fan, 12th fan all the way. So seeing the 49ers go to the Super Bowl again, it makes my neck itch. And someone could tell me just go wash. But I took a shower and it just makes my neck itch. And I don't got a rash. I don't like them. I don't like it at all. I don't even want to talk about it. It hurts my feelings. Detroit, I believed in you. And I believe, I'm starting to believe that Detroit is cursed. Because when you start to believe in them, bad things happen. Just like that Dallas Cowboys thing. When you start to think the Dallas Cowboys is going to the Super Bowl, guess what happens? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say on that. But going into, prediction, Super Bowl Sunday, what's going to happen in Las Vegas, and my personal prediction. You guys have it pinned. I have it pinned, my fault. You guys see the pinned post over on TikTok. My predictions, I think the Kansas City Chiefs is going to take it, personally. Now, don't get me wrong. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to take Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, everything they have in their arsenal to be able to do so, because that offensive line and that defense over in San Francisco is legit. I'm not going to Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuels, fucking, what is it? George Kittle. There it is, George Kittle. That's just 3 people I named off. Then you have Bosa on the other side. They're a solid team. They're a solid team. I'm not going to say too much about Brock Purdy. I have my issues with him. I also agree with Cam. I'm not a fan of Brock just yet. He has to show me something. He has to. Don't get me wrong, you'd be like, oh, he iced up against, that's Detroit. He ain't icing up against nobody else but Detroit. Sorry. He's not icing up against nobody else but Detroit. I'm not going for the Niners. I don't care. But all in all, I'm not going to discredit the Niners' talent. Okay? I'm not saying I'm delusional. I'm just saying I'm not rooting for them. Bottom line, the Niners is not getting rooted for me. I'm going for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're not getting a number prediction because, to be fair with you, I did that and it completely shattered. So I don't want to say any numbers. I just think the Chiefs is going to win. It's going to be a close game, and that's what you're going to get. Upset Bob. But that's all I really got for you guys. I don't have too much to really say. I do want to discuss a little bit about Black History Month and what that means to myself as well as Oklahoma City Chargers. Being a Black-owned business for Oklahoma City Chargers has been one of the most fun things, but also tasking challenges for me because of the fact that in the state of Oklahoma, it's, you run across a lot of discrimination, you run across a lot of things. At least being Haitian American, I've run across that in just my work experience. And so I'm really just appreciative of everything that I have so far. I appreciate all the individuals who helped build the organization to what it is today. I appreciate all the previous predecessors who've done the same path and walked the same lines as us, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have these opportunities to be here. You know what I mean? And I greatly appreciate that. You guys are going to see a huge celebration for Black History Month from the organization, as well as myself. You're going to see a lot of things posted on the channels, and show our appreciation and show our love. We're also going to be doing a foundation, which I'll be dropping in the description below, giving back to communities for Black History Month as well. So if you guys want to check that out and see what we're standing on for this month. But I appreciate everyone who's been a part of the journey, who's helped assist and been a part of all the fun experiences, the ups and the downs, especially with me losing 4 individuals last year. It's been one of the most hardest things for me. And I just appreciate all the love that I've gotten, especially from the BIPOC communities and things of that nature, really showing that, I'm, you know what I mean? One of them, you know what I mean? Like, I know I am, but it's just like, I really didn't have a lot of, friends and stuff like that. So I appreciate all the support and stuff like that that's coming in. But I just wanted you guys to know that I appreciate, everything that this means. I appreciate how, everything, you know what I mean? I really want to give back for next month, Black History Month, especially giving back to, our great creators, giving back to any individuals I work with, communities, foundations. I just want to show the love. So I know that's a lot, that's a meaningful, but I really, it's coming down from the bottom of my heart, guys. I really thank you guys. And yeah, but that's all I have for today. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and check out first episode. If there's anything that I could do better, guys, leave in the comments below. But it's been a good one. We'll see you guys next week on the show. I might have a new co-host, which might make this process a whole lot more fun. So stay tuned. Talk to you next week. Peace.